No, just kind of some anger issues.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In this episode, we're going to get to know another side to Candus Wells, or Candus Bly as she prefers to be known. And we're going to look into this whole idea of her having anger issues, specifically on social media, specifically on Facebook. And you can actually go onto her Facebook and look at some of the things that she said. And her husband, Donald Wells, in his interview with Times News, I think it was on Monday, a couple of days ago, he highlights this specific fact, saying, "My wife isn't doing too good. She's pretty upset. She has some anger issues and all this stuff on social media. Right now she's tore up and it's just getting worse for her. It's bad for me too." And then he talks about he'd do anything to have his baby back. But and then he also talks about, "I'd have lost it a long time ago if it wasn't for his faith in God." Now, I think it's quite important to look into the anger side. You know, we're trying to get to know these people better. We're trying to get to know them as individuals, as people. And so in terms of Candus, one's got to ask, is she the type of person who angers, who's quick to anger? Is she actually an emotional person? Despite this sort of mask of numbness, this deadpan exterior, is there actually a volcano going on beneath the surface? Because what is quite crazy is when you see her at these prayer gatherings, she doesn't do much, she doesn't say much, she doesn't express much, there's not much of a display of emotion. And yet on her Facebook, there is a lot more going on. There's a lot more that she's expressing. And one of the emotions that comes across again and again is anger. She seems to be indignant about what people think of her. She seems to be take exception to what people are saying about her. Even prior to all of this, she seems to sort of use her Facebook to score points, right? And that does seem to show that there's some anger there. And the question is, what's the root of that anger? Where does that anger come from?
Is she needing help or anything, or?
No, just kind of some anger issues, and all this stuff on social media is just.
I know that's out of line. That stuff's out of line, way out of line.
So there are some sort of shallow things that can trigger anger, that could be very ordinary and simple, like ordinary stress, family problems. But you can also have things that go a lot deeper, and that anger can be kind of a reservoir, it's almost like a pain body that exists inside of you, that is almost like a shadow entity of a person that's always there and always ready to trigger. Now, if you're not an angry person, then you aren't easily triggered. If you are an angry person, you're easily triggered. So the question is, why is there this entity inside one person and not in another person? What is causing this underlying situation? And it can sometimes be something, a kind of a malaise like alcoholism or depression, a feeling of being constantly frustrated, constantly helpless, constantly overlooked, constantly feeling that you're not getting what you want in some way, right? So when we look at Candus, we know the situation beyond that, the criminality to some extent in this family, and to some extent even in the extended family, the dysfunction in this family. One's got to ask, what could be the causes of the anger? Well, one thing could be ordinary fear of insufficiency, fear of not having enough, fear of being in a relatively destitute condition, fear of not being able to provide or have enough food, right? It could also be shame, feelings of shame and embarrassment for how their lives have turned out and what is going on. I don't know whether that's the case. I don't know whether Candus's bravado is genuine. Maybe she is happy with her hillbilly life, and she's sort of taken it on and is sort of enjoying it. This kind of almost redneck hillbilly lifestyle. Is she ashamed of it? It's difficult to say. But often in a situation like that, people who are in that situation may feel disrespected, humiliated, embarrassed, and angered because of something that they feel like they can't change, that they're stuck in a particular situation. And meanwhile, other people are getting there happily ever after. And what about them? My sense of this is that a key reason for anger is actually pain. I think a lot of people misunderstand angry people. They think angry people are horrible people, or angry people are bullies, or controlling, or whatever the case may be. But what I think they fail to often see is that angry people are actually hurt people, and hurt people hurt people. Angry people often are struggling with pain, whether it's identified or just a sense of being hurt, that they hurt in some way that they can't give a voice to, and maybe they can give a voice to. But I do think there's a lot of emotion in the Wells family. I think there's a lot of emotion in Don. I think there's a lot of emotion in Candus. I think there was a lot of emotion in Summer. And I think that we've got to kind of ask the question, what pain is lying under all of this? What is the cause of this terrible hurt? And I think the substance abuse is a key way that they're trying to soothe those feelings of injury and woundedness. Unfortunately, in the real world, the extent that you deal with the slings and arrows can make it worse. So, for example, if you've got real problems in your life, real grievances, and you treat these problems with substances, well, then when you wake up with a hangover, the problem hasn't gone away. In fact, it's gotten incrementally worse. You're just a little bit poorer, you're a little bit more compromised, and less able to deal with your deteriorating situation. And doesn't the deterioration just get worse and worse? And doesn't your anger just get more and more? So I'm not going to take it further than that. Things like anger are things that we want to, these sort of emotions, the personality, we want to build an idea of who these people are, and that's one way of doing that. And of course, we're going to get a sense of a profile of these people, a sense of what their personalities are like from people close to them. And not only that, for example, this is Don saying something about his wife, but also what they say about themselves. So I'm not going to take it further than that. Once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment. I'm probably going to be doing a live stream on Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so Friday afternoon. It's around about 7 p.m. in the UK. On the Wells case, on I think it is the 31-day anniversary of the disappearance of Summer Wells. So I'm going to just really be taking your questions and raising a few quite interesting issues of my own that are, I think, worth talking about. So it should be an interesting discussion. So I hope to see you guys on Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.